Keeper of Secrets are demons which draw strength from the corruption of others, feasting upon their sins, their fears and lusts, like mortals feast on wine and fine foods. A keeper is a terrifying foe to face in battle, with their razor-sharp claws that tear deep into flesh and muscle. Perhaps the most dangerous of the keepers, and Slaanesh's greatest champion, is Nakari, the commander of the Slaaneshi force that rampaged across the lands of Ulthuan during the Dawn Ages. In that time, Nakari was responsible for the destruction of numerous elven settlements and the slaughter of countless men, women, and children. He was only defeated by the Phoenix King Aenarion, who struck down his mortal form. For servants of Slaanesh, and those of the other Chaos gods, death is not the end of one's journey. So Nakari and the Phoenix King would face one another again at the battle for the Isle of the Dead, resulting once again in Nakari's defeat. These failures against the Phoenix King would see the demon imprisoned within the vortex for more than 6 millennia, allowing Ulthuan to once again prosper. Many millennia later, in the year 2173, a great storm hit the island of Ulthuan, causing the rivers to swell and many buildings to collapse. At the storm's height, atop Mount Antarek, the great waystone was uprooted and hurled into the valley below. Broken shards were spread far and wide, and the magics of the monolith faded. Soon after, demons of chaos began to break through to the mortal realm, the fabric of reality tearing like tissue. As chaos furies clawed their way out, Nakari emerged, reborn into the mortal realm to reap his revenge. The first town to fall to Nakari's fury was Tor Anan. The defenders fought valiantly, but the might of the chaos force that had broken into the heart of Ulthuan was too much for the outpost to hold back. Amongst the bloodshed, Nakari waded through the elves, his massive bulk allowing him to kill a half-dozen warriors with each swipe. No one was able to even slow his pace. The Lord of Taranan, Eonith, and his household guard confronted the great demon. They had formed a wall of spears against his onslaught, only to have their weapons splinter on his thick hide. Nakari, spotting Lord Eonith, surged forwards, the sudden burst of speed seeming unnatural for a beast of his size. He snapped Eonith's sword beneath the massive pincers of one claw, and thrust his fist deep into the elven lord's chest. A moment later, he held the lord's beating heart aloft, and Eonith fell to the ground, the last sight he witnessed being the demon swallowing his heart whole. As Tor Anan now lay in ruins, its people slaughtered, Nakari sought out his next target. His force would next attack in Tor Evres, but this time the elven defenders were able to hold out, until aid arrived from Kothik and Hoeth. Outnumbered and outmatched, Nakari's force withdrew to the Anuli Mountains, to pick a more vulnerable target. For over a month Nakari would strike elven towns across the many provinces of Ulthuan, with few areas of the elven realm remaining unscathed. Yet each time Nakari would abandon the battle before his forces could be contained. This campaign of bloodshed had the populace in a state of terror, as Nakari would seemingly strike anywhere, at any time. Desperate to end the threat, the Phoenix King ordered every seer across the realm to focus their powers of divination and locate the enemy horde. After days of meditation, the location of Nakari was still a mystery, but his motivations had become clear. The attacks had not been random, but instead they had focused on hunting down the descendants of Aenarion. The pattern had not been clear, as not all of his descendants were of noble rank, and many could not be identified amongst the carnage that had been inflicted upon the towns that had been attacked. All of the descendants were now either lost to Nakari's rage, or far from Ulthuan, except for the princes Tyrion and Teclis. They were hastily located and spirited away to the shrine of Aenarion, the safest place in all of Ulthuan. they were joined by an army of the finest warriors drawn from across the lands. Nakari's assault on the shrine began a few days after the twins' arrival, its fierceness beyond anything that had occurred before. The outer defences quickly fell to Nakari's horde, with the Keeper of Secrets invading the minds of many elves, causing them to abandon their posts or fall into a deep slumber. The defenders did not yield though. They fought with grace and heart, even though the odds did not seem in their favour. Nakari strode swiftly through the chaos of battle, ascending the Stair of Eternity into the innermost sanctum of Aenarion, where the twins Tyrion and Teclis awaited. Only 20 Phoenix Guard now stood between Nakari and his prey, which he quickly dispatched. Tyrion advanced upon Nakari, ready to defend his frail brother, and though he was a promising warrior, he was no match for the Keeper of Secrets. Tyrion's desperate thrusts were deflected with mocking ease, and Nakari taunted the elf with each attack. The demon had made one fatal mistake though. As he played and toyed with the elven warrior, he had ignored the frail frame of Teclis, who now summoned a bolt of energy which flung the demon across the room. Nakari's arm fell into the sacred fire of Aenarion, the only flame that could harm the demon. As the beast screamed in agony, the fire spread across its body, burning with greater intensity. Tyrion saw his opportunity, and opened up a new assault against the demon, forcing him towards the great arch that overlooked the Sea of Dreams. With the fire weakening the demon's hide, each cut of Tyrion's blade opened up a new wound, and the flames began to sear the demon's innards. Then, with one final blow, he caused Nakari to topple backward, where he plummeted thousands of feet into the dark of the sea. His screams could be heard until the waves finally consumed him. With the great demon defeated, the Chaos Horde began to crumble to ash, and the elves once again claimed victory against the servants of Slaanesh. Nakari will undoubtedly one day return to the mortal realm, once again desperate to defeat the line of Aenarion. Will the forces of good prevail that day, or will the demon have his revenge? This video was brought to you by my patrons. Thanks to Hot Apple Pie, Alexander, and Solarith Magnetar.